Hook. You ever have one of those nights where everything feels like it's stacked against you, and then in the span of a single sentence the whole room rearranges itself? That happened to Lena Morales on a rainy Thursday at the Gilded Birch. And yeah, it changed her life. She was just a server, same black apron, same commute, same bills to worry about. But what the man in the tailored suit didn't know was that she could speak his language better than he could say, "Excuse me," with any real respect, and that my friends is where the trouble and the miracle begins. Act 1. Setting the scene and the grind. Lena was 24, living in a studio above a laundromat, the kind of place where the heater cuts out when the landlord forgets his name. She studied part-time at a local college, majoring in comparative languages because words had always felt like a way out, a map, a key, something bigger than the worn carpet under her feet. By night, she waited tables at the Gilded Birch, a place that looked like a movie set for people who never had to count change. Polished wood industrial lights, a menu with prices that should have come with a small apology note, and the kind of patrons who never looked anyone in the eye. Her manager, a nervous fellow named Dan, loved to sweat over the smallest misplace of a napkin, while a senior server, Claire, protected her tiny kingdom of tables with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Claire watched Lena like a hawk from the moment Lena started. Extra plates, bad shifts, whispered comments that never quite landed where they should. Lena learned to keep her head down because a paycheck was a promise you couldn't afford to break. Still, nobody guessed that Lena spent her rare free hours studying Hangul and honorifics, the delicate rules she'd learned while on a scholarship to study at Hanil University in Seoul. She'd lived with a host family who treated her like a daughter. She'd read the book's written papers. Korean had become something intimate to her, a language she held carefully like glass. Then the booking came in. Mr. Min Jae-ho, a development magnate who owned towers from Seoul to San Francisco, was dining that night. Rumors called him a titan of industry, a man who expected obedience and rewarded the people who told him what he wanted to hear. Dan pulled the team together in the back. "Listen up. Big table tonight. Table 4. Lena, you're on it." Lena felt a twist in her stomach. Table 4 sat smack in the middle of the dining room, a place where any stumble becomes a headline among staff. Claire's smirk said more than words. This was showtime, and Lena was the act. Act 2. The inciting incident and the turn. When Mr. Min walked in with his entourage, 2 younger associates, crisp suits, nervous smiles, the restaurant got quiet like someone had turned down the world. He looked like money-made flesh, precise, cool a face that never made room for small talk. He spoke in English with an economy of words. "Table 4, he said like a verdict. Everything started low hum. Picky requests about the menu questions shot like little traps. Lena answered with the calm of someone who'd studied wines and read the descriptions until the words tasted familiar. He frowned when she answered correctly, the type of man insulted by being proven wrong in public. As the courses arrived, he found fault in texture and temperature and lighting. Small slights padded with huge arrogance. Claire leaned in, delighted, every time Lena had to hustle back to the kitchen. Then the accident. Because that's usually how stories like this escalate. A sleeve brushed a carafe, a single droplet leapt off the glass, landed on Mr. Min's jacket like a punctuation mark. He stared at it like a personal affront. Lena reached for a napkin before she could think, lips already forming. "I'm so sorry, sir." But he didn't look at her. Instead, he turned to his companions and spoke in rapid Korean, a stream of words that sounded polite to a stranger's ear, but the bite was clear, mocking, dismissive. He said she was bred to smile, nothing more, that hiring cheap help who looked the part was easier than finding actual talent. His associates snickered, the kind of laugh meant to anchor you to your place. Lena heard it all. Every syllable landed like a cold coin in her chest. Memories of Seoul flashed the Tan family's living room, where she learned to stumble through meals in perfect politeness, the late nights hunched over grammar. The professor who told her language is a mirror you hold up to another's face. How dare he use that language as a weapon? She set the napkin down slowly. The restaurant's noise thinned to something like ocean static. Lena's voice came out in flawless, measured Korean. Not loud, not theatrical, just clean, precise. "Sir," she said, "your assumption that my appearance equals my ability is wrong. Work does not equal worth, and dignity is not reserved for people with certain nameplates." Then, leaning on the thing that unsettled him most, she added, "Also, you use the wrong level of honorific with your colleague. It's nim here, not the form you used. It changes the tone of respect. I want you to imagine that silence, a blade of quiet slicing the chatter." Mr. Min's face drained from carefully tanned to paper white. He looked at Lena the way someone looks when they discover a mirror in a room they thought empty. His young associates straightened their laughter dead on the air. Claire's wine glass hovered like she might drop it. Dan, who didn't understand the words, still read the energy. Something had shifted. "Who are you?" he asked, Korean, clipped but stripped of swagger. The question didn't ask for a name. It asked for origin, for explanation. Lena met his gaze and replied in the same language, "I'm Lena Morales. I studied in Seoul on scholarship. I understand the nuances here." She spoke plainly without flourish, and in that plainness there was a kind of authority that unsettled him more than anger would have. His posture changed. The air around him condensed not into fury this time, but into a look of someone recalculating a strategy. He asked how she'd learned so much, and Lena told him. The host family who taught her about small ceremonies of respect, the nights reading textbooks, the thesis on modern honorifics she'd penned with trembling hands. She didn't ask for pity. She didn't demand apologies. She simply owned her story. Act 3, Resolution and the New Balance. And then something almost cinematic happened. Mr. Min, the man who could make buildings bend to his will, leaned in and said, "We need someone like you." Not as a pet project, not as some PR token, but as blunt business sense. "I buy properties, but I lose time and money when people misunderstand each other. I want someone who can translate more than words. I want cultural nuance." He offered a position. Not charity, not pity, a role with pay that would have put Lena on a different path entirely, an official title travel between Seattle and Seoul, and resources that could change lives. Lena felt the offer like cold water. It could erase student debt, help her mother stop working a second job, make a room with a heater a reality. But it came from the same man who'd used her language to shave her down in front of strangers. The moral math was ugly. She left that night with his card heavy in her pocket, the dining room full of eyes and quiet judgments following her. She slept poorly, and not because of money questions only. Could she change him from inside his towers? Could she keep her integrity while walking into his halls? Could she demand respect and get it? By morning, she'd chosen a path that would test her resolve. She accepted, on conditions. She would not tolerate disrespect in any form. English, Korean, or otherwise. She would finish her degree, and she asked for part of the relocation package to seat a scholarship for low-income language students at her college, a promise Lena knew would pull others up the way she was about to climb. He agreed. Maybe he liked the idea of someone who wouldn't tell him what he wanted to hear. Maybe he liked the optics. Maybe both. Over the next few years, Lena did more than bridge conference calls. She rewrote protocols, trained teams to read tone and posture, prevented deals from crumbling because someone didn't understand the between the words. The scholarship she insisted on sent half a dozen students abroad. Claire changed too. Not overnight, but enough that their mutual nod over a shared coffee felt real. Dan stopped sweating quite as much. And Mr. Min, he remained sharp. He still crushed deadlines and got his hands dirty in deals. But he listened more. He'd been forced to learn that strength includes hearing the truth without flinching, and power becomes something less fragile when someone is brave enough to speak to it. End. The lasting question. Here's the thing I want you to chew on. Was Lena right to walk into his office and make the deal? Some will say she sold out that money, and influence were the very things that enabled his cruelty, and she should have walked away. Others will say she used a system to reshape the system, that she turned the weapon of wealth into a tool for good. What do you think? Have you ever been underestimated because of your job, your accent, your clothes? Would you have spoken up the way Lena did, or would you have kept quiet to keep the peace? Drop a comment below. Argue. Be kind. Tell a story like this from your own life. If you liked this one, hit subscribe, share it with someone who needs a reminder that quiet people can be the loudest force in the room, and tell me, which side are you on: confrontation that creates change or staying small to survive?